What's up, H-Town? Welcome back to Instant Ramen. Y'all know how we do this here. We invite our opponent on. We like to discuss the upcoming game coming up this weekend and get into the knowledge and to the what's going to happen. What's Minnesota going to bring to us? But first, hey, tonight Foxtrot is with me. Andres, what's going on, bro? How you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good evening. Every day's a good birthday.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll get into that in a minute. But Minnesota, the Loony Bin Podcast. We have Dan and Matt with us tonight. Everybody welcome them. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. What's going on, y'all?
Thank you for having us. We're doing all right. We're happy to be here, OSG and Fox. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, excited.
Oh, thank you.
Loony
Thank you for
tonight?
coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you loony tonight? You're ready?
We're sort of always on the edge, right? That's sort of we walk the line constantly.
Right.
Kids are in
All right,
bed, so now it's time to relax.
All right, well, let's enjoy 30, 45 minutes, 55 minutes plus 10 extra time. You never know what the referee's going to add. So, yeah, we're just going to roll with it. We'll just go. I hope y'all enjoy. Hope listeners enjoy. Please let us know what y'all think about it. But, man, let's get into it. As Foxtrot said, happy birthday. It's Dylan Wolpers' birthday.
Coming up.
Again. Jesus Christ. So, obviously, y'all know about it, man, but it's Dylan Wolpers' birthday, man. So happy birthday, Dylan Wolpers. I know you.
Matt just learned about that on our last episode.
Good. Did a deep dive online today, in fact.
Well, I mean, all right, Matt. So tell us what did you learn? Tell us about it. So for listeners that are listening, what is the Dylan Wolpers Derby or Derby as well?
Well, so what it is, right? Should we let everyone know what it is first? So
Yeah.
I just learned about this, so jump in when I'm wrong. But several years ago, 13 some years ago, maybe now. I don't know how many years ago has it been.
I think Dan said 2018, which is, I believe he's correct.
2018. There was a glitch in the system where this young lady was wishing her boyfriend happy birthday. His name was Dylan Wolper. And while it was supposed to be an in-stadium kind of announcement, cutesy thing, it kind of went wide on the TV. It went everywhere.
Yep.
And it kind of became a thing, a meme, almost instantly. So
for these two fan bases, at least.
For these two fan bases. But
100%.
both clubs have been leaning into it, right? And there's been some other chatter on there. And that, of course, piqued my curiosity because I just learned about this thing. And I'm like, well, this is kind of cool. I don't know how I missed the entire thing. Like, didn't even catch it in the peripheral. I feel like I value myself as being a very, or rather moderately equipped internet sleuth. And boy, I came up with a whole lot of nothing. Lots of like.
And we tasked Matt with finding out like what the story is with that girlfriend. Are they still together? Are those two? Do they have a kid? Are they married? Or did that girlfriend who helped create this moment, is she long gone?
Yeah, we don't know. And frankly,
do you guys know?
We're in the age of disinformation because I was only able to find a bunch of like team level clips and some that kind of stuff. But
I think OSG's got the insight.
OSG's got a little bit of insight. I'd be happy to hear.
Well, yes. So 2 years ago we did. It was the last time we talked to Minnesota, and it was a different podcast, obviously. And we invited Dylan Wolpers secretly onto the show. And during the middle of the show, as we asked them about his birthday and they were talking about it, I kind of sent him the link and he just kind of joined the show. So, yes, he exists. He's real. I've met him in person. I've met her in person. They are very friendly people. They're having a blast with this. He does not check social media as much as she does, so I didn't try to sneak him on tonight. And as a matter of fact, I didn't listen to your last episode till like a little bit earlier, by the way. So like, if I would have listened to it and saw that y'all actually did the research on it and knew about it, I I probably would have tried to hey, let me get him on and secretly bring him on and just talk to him for 2 seconds. And they're like, all right, bro, Dylan Wolpers, you're gone. You've aged 60 years since we met you in 2018. So
yeah, his Twitter is not very active. So I was kind of bummed by that.
No, it's not. You have to use the girlfriend or the wife by now. Haven't talked to him in a couple years, but he knows this is his birthday, and like you said, both teams take knowledge to it. He's a fan of the match. He gets on the field. He gets if we win, he gets the signed flag from all the supporters after the game with the player, the match, and all that good stuff.
We got to get Dylan We got to get Dylan Wolpers, I think, to Minnesota to bring out the ceremonial ball or something for the Houston match. We'll give him a round of applause from here too.
I'm sure that's gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah, man. If you can do it, make it happen. So, man, all right. Let's just keep rolling on, because obviously that was a little bit long. So, like I hinted, or Foxing, we're gonna take a little while. All right, bro. So, Fox, man, you got a question about the coach?
Oh yeah, and this is definitely something that kind of highlighted the MLS offseason. I wanted the news because the coaching situation in Minnesota didn't look too favorable, especially with the season right around the corner. But lo and behold, right here we see that Minnesota just flew out of the gate for the first 3 or 4 games, and it was just insane to see, especially with the consistent results for that for those strings, especially with how they play those games, and especially the opponents. And my main question is, was this kind of expected, or I'm sure it was unexpected, really, but just having that person with experience already available, but at the same time, just having that short turnaround, how do you feel for you guys?
Like in MLS, I think any team can start the year and there's probably a 10, 11 ranking spread of where they could really be. And that's true of, 11 or 12 other teams that had their coaches come in, weeks, months earlier, had a settled off season. It really could have gone both ways, right? There was no way to know. I think most of the credit goes to the players and the leadership of within the Boxall Trap group, and I think they haven't been that much better than their opponents. If you sort of follow how a lot of those results came to be, the first game at Austin, we actually did sort of dominate. So it gave us we dominated and could have been more than 2-1. We got a last kick. We got that tie against Columbus. The Orlando game we gave up a goal, I think, in the first 6 seconds or 7 seconds of that game. So these haven't all been going totally smoothly. But late goals and late goals from substitutes have given us 6 of those 11 points, right? And those don't go in. If we don't get those shots, you're looking at us sort of more in the 4, 5, 6 range, and everyone sort of filling out the predictable story that people were expecting with the coach. But I think from the outside, you look at an organization and you see interim coach, and then you see a new interim coach. The organization is hundreds of people, and they're keeping the ball rolling, right? It's not Khalid El Ahmad, even from England, was able to give direction to Cam Knowles as they were going through a preseason to push him in a general direction, and they just have been playing hard. The early season for most teams is more about effort than it is going to be about tactics, right? If you can win the last 15 minutes of a game early in the season when folks aren't fit, then that's going to get you a long way. That's sort of where they sit now, I think.
And I think also it was there was a sense of urgency, or I don't know, for me being a new fan as of last year, comparing to the team we saw this year, it's a big difference in just the aggression and how they're playing and attacking the ball and pressing. It's kind of a pressure relief almost of getting rid of Heath and the the buildup and the angst that there was amongst the team of always knowing we could do more or play harder or play a different type of ball. I think we saw that, and we're continuing to see it through the game. But as Dan was alluding to, we started to see holes in the defense. And in a couple of weeks in, there was a couple of things that weren't going right. There's a couple of things that could have gone differently in each of those games that would have been a completely different outcome. And unfortunately, in the last game, we ended in a tie, but that could have easily been our first loss.
So follow up. Where y'all at right now with the head coach, with the coaching staff, as how they're executing the tactics and performing with the team right now?
I mean, we're seeing Ramsey's third game, which includes the international break. They had an off week between the LAFC and the Philadelphia game.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we are an infant in terms of implementing Coach Ramsey's tactics. You're seeing maybe wrinkles, but the game that you're going to see on Saturday night against your Houston Dynamo is going to still just be wrinkles of what his vision is for the team. All of these players, our coach Heath is the Adrian Heath's players, and so they don't all perfectly fit the kind of strategies that they're trying to implement. And some of it's square peg round hole, and some of it's going to work out, right? Load and Pookie do have a connection. If you can get those two active around the box, good things are probably going to happen over the long run.
Song Bin.
And we have a Song Bin stan over here, even though he's got 1 goal, 1 assist in many games. And I got Song Bin. I mean, Song Bin signed the scarf for me. I'm a big fan.
Nice.
But it's I think the Houston team there's tape on Minnesota right now that does probably show a lot of gaps for the Dynamo to attack. Cucho and Chicho both have dominated these little guys against us, have been getting on the end of heading in goals. Cucho could have had 2 or 3 goals headed in against us, and these guys are not, they're not big guys. They're just sort of shifty and crafty in finding the spots. So the coach, I think, is just going to be folding one element in week over week, and probably by midsummer, you're going to see what kind of players they decide to bring in that are more for him. But right now, it's a little bit of a forced marriage, and it's working out. There's no one's complaining when you're 1.87 points per game, right?
Right, yeah. So interesting. So all right. So building into that, so the current season, the way y'all are playing so far, you mean if it was a win instead of a tie last week, you're you're top of the Western Conference right now. So going into the current season, how go ahead and describe it a little bit. Matt, you can go ahead and start and jump into this for you, especially being a new loonlet. Tell me about your Minnesota United season thus far, and then Dan, if you want to follow up, where were y'all expected to be? What were you projected for this season prior to this starting? Obviously, you said we're in infancy still, obviously, but I'm curious to both questions.
Well, I think early in one of our podcasts, it was probably before the season started. We actually, I think I even made the comment of, okay, well, it's 3 games out of how many of, we almost called 3-4 games a wash in the whole, okay, we have no idea what's going on. We don't have players here. We have all these green card issues. We don't have a coach. Let's just see what they can do with what they've got and hope for the best. And then lo and behold, it was the best. But it was a pretty sweet feeling to start, especially as a new fan. Kind of seeing, one of the things I keep commenting on is what I saw last year was we would just kind of pass the ball around, and not really ever attack or go in. There was just a lot of lackluster, and that was as a new set of eyes looking in at our team. Compare that to what we're seeing this year, just as by the change in dynamics on the coaching staff with virtually the same players, a few new ones that came in. It's been a completely different experience for me, with a fresh set of eyes on it. So I don't have a lot of the stats. That's Dan's job.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're witnessing is a commitment to even harder work, I think, during the game than they had in previous years. I think people are putting in serious shifts like Songbin, Bongi, Caden Clark, these wingers. They put in shifts. Our Rosales, we won't get to see him because of the softest second yellow that you'll ever see in an MLS game. But he's been up and down the sideline. Just these like really solid shifts, then come out, and then more pacey, energetic players are coming on, and younger players. So we've never really had young, athletic depth that could scare a defense. People were coming off our bench for the last 7 years that were either older, slower. They just always seemed to like not be able to get the ball on frame or whatever.
Yeah.
But now, Tani Oluwaseyi is a young forward was down in San Antonio or last year, getting Golden Boot or most goal contributions at USL Championship, and he's our 15 minutes when Pookie comes off, and that's tough to defend, and he's been turning it into goals and assists. So I think going into the season, you always hope your team is a playoff team when a season starts, because I think every team can realistically say that when they start. I mean, and so this has been better, I think, than most fans have expected at the beginning of the season. Most Minnesota fans thought the sky was falling when we were the laughingstock of the offseason, and we were replacing interim coaches with interim coaches. So this is like a very enjoyable FU to the league.
Nice. So hopefully it continues for you as well. So, Fox, unless if you would like to follow up, or if you would like to lead into the fan question that we have for tonight for these guys.
No, yeah, because the ones that we have are mostly about players, and I guess the one that's kind of been hovering around, especially I've been following up with this today. It's the situation with Reynoso, and I'm sure that's definitely something that you guys can get a little bit in depth into. But obviously, it'll be good if you can get some context for people that aren't really aware of this, what's going on.
Matt, you want to take this one, or you want me to roll?
You can roll with it, Dan.
Okay,
bring it, Dan. Bring it.
Folks will hear probably the longer version of this Monday or Tuesday when our next episode comes out. But Reynoso is an individual who has lots of things happening in his life. He has an ex-partner and a 3-year-old child. He has a current partner, and she's pregnant with his child. Mm-hmm. He's had run-ins with being credibly accused of bringing a gun to a party. He was shot in the leg when he was younger, just running around the streets of Argentina. He's not a straightforward person. He doesn't love Minnesota United as much as Minnesota United loves him, right? He has taken opportunities to stop communicating with the team and go on vacations when everyone else on the team is absolutely not on vacation. And that rubs a lot of fans, and you'd hope it rubs the players the wrong way. But at the end of the day, when he comes back, he's he is a pretty magical player when he's on. Mm-hmm. And so...
Is he coming back?
It's 75% likely he's coming back. 25% he's played the last game for the Loons. I don't know. It's impossible to have the answer to that. But this new regime, right? We have a new sporting director and we have a new coach, and everyone's watching how they handle it, right?
I was just going to say, this is a first test of the new leadership of the Coach Ramsey era. How are they going to handle this? What are they going to do? Dan and I, it's kind of funny because anytime prior to our podcast that I had anything to do with the Loons or something, we would be talking about it. And now we have to kind of dial it back because we got to save it for the podcast. We're going to keep it fresh, right? So we haven't even talked about this yet, but I think when you start missing green card appointments, it's a pretty good indicator that you're not motivated to remedy the situation.
Right.
Yeah. He's
just a procedural thing that you're refusing to partake in. So you either think you're above it or you don't want to solve the problem, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest issue. So if he has real complications in his life that are keeping him there, I would expect that, like through his agent, he would properly communicate with the team in a manner that allowed the team to also properly communicate with fans. But he doesn't communicate with the team, and therefore the team can't communicate with fans what's going on, which means everyone just gets angry. And he did it last year and put out a little video, and we mostly forgave him. Then he was a week late this year, and everyone was freaking out, and he then said it was sort of excused. And then, you almost wonder if the team should not have sent him to Argentina to get his green card, because like anytime you let him go home, something inevitably happens. It's happened basically every time he's left Minnesota for Argentina in his hometown. So it might, you can partially just blame it on the team for wanting to open up an international roster spot.
Well, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's how a lot of kind of warms though. But yeah, that's a great answer.
Yeah, and I'm sure y'all would love to have him. Obviously, you kind of said that, hinted to it. But will he fit? Will he fit? But let's move on. So we had a fan question from Fox's best friend, Andres' best friend, Antonio Rubio, from the Dynamo side of things, and he wants to know. And it's a two-parter actually. So I'll ask the first one, and then we'll come back to the second one. Why is Bongi not getting time? What's going on there with him?
Matt knows this one.
Let's hear it, Matt.
Why was Bongi not starting early this year?
With the hamstring?
Is it
okay? I'll take it.
Oh.
So
now he's 2 for 26.
Exactly. Bongi had green card issues.
Oh, that's right.
Off preseason, right?
That's right.
So he came. He came late. He came late, and it's fitness.
Okay. So it's nothing like strategic or anything. He's just not ready to play.
No,
he's not game ready yet.
Fit.
No,
getting adjusted.
Okay.
I mean, he started his first game against RSL, and I think he went 80. So I mean, he's very likely to start against Houston. Very likely.
Okay, good. That makes sense because that was a little difficult to figure out. But all right, cool. All right, second part. And you kind of elated to this earlier, but who is Tommy? And I'll let you say his last name since you know how to say it. Who is Tommy, man?
Tani Olewashayi?
Yeah, there you go, bro. Who is that, man? Wait, is he a threat? Do opponents need to worry about this guy?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Like Dan said, he's the reliever for my boy Pookie.
And it said Sisu. It didn't say Pookie, Matt.
I know it says Sisu. That's my boy.
We've been over that.
So yeah, I think he is, and depending on how our roster shakes out with these other things that are up in the air, who knows where he'll be in? I don't know.
I would expect Tani Oluwaseyi to start a handful of games this year when Pookie needs a break. I think that he is the perfect counterpunch to a player like Pookie, a balding, slow, old white man that, much like Matt, that is surprisingly agile.
Minding my own business over here, dude.
And a goal scorer. And then he comes off, and Tani Oluwaseyi is like, all he is legs. He literally takes one step for every defender's 2 steps. If he learns how to control the ball, get a little bit of a touch in tight spaces, he could be a great player. But he has a real good chance of being a good player. And he's his goal in Columbus, his assist in Austin, his goal at RSL. I mean, that's 5 points off of his, what we call him, Big Toe Tani.
Big Toe Tani.
And last minute, what was that, like the 23rd, 22nd shot? Y'all were both at the game, I understand. Enjoying
we went to the RSL game together.
Whose horse?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess let's maybe push it back to you guys. Coming to Minnesota, I think Minnesota's done pretty well against Houston outside of the U.S. Open Cup lately. You guys, that game in Chicago didn't. That was a very. If I was a Chicago fan, I would have been celebrating that Brian Gutierrez goal. I'm sure you guys obviously weren't, but I like young Americans scoring crazy goals. That was a crazy goal.
It was, yeah.
But you guys are coming into Minnesota. I mean, you guys want the ball, and we want to probably run at you. It's going to be an exciting game. What do you see?
Well, I can start.
Yeah, go ahead, Fox. Yeah, lead into it, bro.
Yeah, historically speaking, like I've always been afraid of Adrian Heath because every single time like Houston played either extremely like crap or Minnesota just had an amazing game, and really like it was pretty much like every single time we played Minnesota except in the Open Cup. In league play, it was like a different story. Regardless if it was home or away, like Adrian Heath was gonna kick our ass, and obviously this is a different.
9 straight. Unbeaten.
Yeah.
9 straight minus Open Cup.
Yeah. And obviously there's a different situation. You mentioned earlier this is a team that is still getting to know itself, and this is pretty much the same situation we've been like last year and a little bit of the year before. And honestly, like the way I can say is like as long as you don't let us keep the ball that often, you guys can definitely like either try counterattack and just create some more damage, especially in a current situation because we're missing some of our key players. And yeah, like also defensively, there's some work you can do. And because one of our weaknesses right now is that we're missing some of our attacking core that got us to our success from last year in the first place. And yeah, there's a couple of different things you can do, and I feel like it's also going to depend on who's going to play, because I don't know if we should be worrying about rotating right now, but I'm sure we're going to see something different from the game against Chicago.
I do wonder. It does seem like when we get Houston, you guys are always interested in just sort of like getting out of town and getting to your next game where you might get people healthy, or you might, get some minutes into some guys. Yeah, I mean, I think from Minnesota's perspective, this is almost like if you want to be a serious team this season, this is like a must win because last year our home record was pitiful. It was like 4 wins, like 9 ties. We just kept tying people at home, dropping points to Western Conference opponents. It was really the first year that we were not quality home team.
And your home record now is?
Our home record now is what? 1 win and 2 ties.
2? Yeah.
Yep. And so we're looking to stop the ties. We obviously don't want this. This is one of those games where you like, are you going to be a good home team? Are you going to be a potential danger, or are you sort of not? Do you not really have it? And I think we're going to find out on Saturday whether this team can sort of get that 10th game unbeaten or 8th win in a row against a team that like Adrian Heath did not dominate many teams. Unfortunately, Houston was like, you guys are actually one of the only teams that Adrian Heath was good against. We got dominated by many other Western Conference opponents over the years.
What do you guys see as a fandom, coming into this game? Because it's kind of interesting to hear what other teams are saying about the Loons this year.
Well, for us coming in, this is a new team, different style, different tactics, different everything. Everything's been washed out. New ownership, new GM, new technical, new staff, everything. So obviously the team's different. We went to the Western Conference Finals last year, so we're on high hopes. We're cringing right now. We don't know what we're doing with our striker. Quinones is hurt for the season. So we're confident. We're building on the road. we're a very possessive team. So we're going to be looking for 60% possession on the game, and we're going to be looking to build the ball slowly and just kind of tiki-taka, one pass, and trying to make little attempts. And there'll be more little attempts than there will be shots, unfortunately. That's just the way the friggin' team plays. But maybe with our striker back, we'll get a few more attempts out of that. But as far as I tried to follow y'all this season, I've been very confused because game to game it's been kind of like back and forth, possession wise, shot wise, passes wise. I'm like, so what am I to expect as well from Minnesota at home defending us? We will be very possessive. We'll look for the wing on the left side. We will not use the right wing unless it's our right wing. But Dorsey coming up the right wing and getting those crosses in. Yeah, we will try to play tiki-taka and move the ball through the middle. Left wing wide, right wing will be kind of towards center mid, and it'll be more like a 3-back until we're defending. Then it'll be a 4-4-2, but it'll be a 4-3 or 4-2-3-1. So what can I expect from Minnesota to defend or to be homescaped with that and continue that friggin' 9-game streak that's going on?
You're probably going to see Minnesota team that is comfortable with Houston possessing the ball as long as it's like in the back half of your middle third, in the back half of your middle third, or back in your defensive area. Once you start to cross that line, once you start to try to bring that possession to that 45-yard mark, you're going to start to see some of that pressure intensify. You'll see a team that will opportunistically press you back in certain situations when we just want to force a long ball from your goalie so we can win a 50-50 and quickly turn it over and try to attack sort of a defense that's not set. And when we're possessing it, we're not we do not have the skill set of the Houston Dynamo in terms of moving the ball effectively player to player through the middle of the field. We often will find dead ends with our fullbacks that turn into long balls that we'll then try to counter press off of a turnover. When we send that ball deep and we don't get it, we'll try to win that ball back. And half the the we're trying to be, this new team is pushing it much. The old team would try to get possession and then just hold it again and just bore us to death. This team will, when they do win the ball, is going to move it forward more frequently to dangerous positions to try to strike. I think we are going to see a very interesting back line that you're going to come into because of that. Rosales Red and Tapias is still injured.
Yeah. Tell us about that Rosales Red.
I mean, the Rosales, the second yellow was basically a shove just a little shoulder shove when the guy falls to his butt unharmed. And the ref runs over like he just poked him in the eye or something. And he sends him off in the 88th minute. So we're already light on the left side of our defense with Tapias' injury. Eric Valentin, I think you guys know him well.
He still exists. Yeah,
is a backup fullback for us, but he was actually in the radio booth for the last game doing color, even though he's still playing. And so I actually don't know what our defensive setup is going to be. It's possible you're going to see Victor Eriksson or Hugo Bacharach or even Morris Dugan's first start. There's 3 young center backs that all could take that spot. They could try to get creative in a 3-back system, which we played for maybe 90 total minutes this season in late in second halves. I think there is opportunity for Houston in just the fact that we don't have a sort of set back 6 that is all healthy and ready to lock down the back third of our defense. And we have, Columbus and Orlando and Philadelphia and RSL all made our defense look vulnerable. And that's 4 of the 6 games that we played so far. So, I mean, I think the game has points in it for either team, depending on how it goes. And I mean, it's my first game not being at the stadium this year, so it's the only thing I'm disappointed about.
I think the biggest X factor for the Dynamo coming into town is the fact that what we talked about earlier, that this game, we got something to prove, right? We have something on the line. I think that Coach Ramsey needs a win. I think that there's a lot of unsure, there's so many games that ended in a tie, and there's so many games that could have gone the other way, that they really need to prove themselves. And I think that could definitely be an X factor for you folks coming into town.
That's going to be interesting, man. Interesting. So that helps me be a little confident, because we're going to be a very possessive team, and you said like you want to let our keeper have it. We're gonna push the ball forward to the wings, and then gain possession, push across the midfield, and then try to work our way into the box against y'all. For defending y'all, for you defending us, if you defend our wings, you're going to cause trouble against us, because we don't, with the striker missing, the forward missing in our gameplay, it's gonna play difficult, and it showed last week against Chicago. That's where I think they took advantage, where they took out our wings out, and Fox obviously has a follow up, man. So yeah, please.
Escobar and Dorsey are going to step up just because of those issues we're still dealing with. And yeah, Escobar especially, he didn't do himself any favors last game. We kind of been joking about the tug he did that caused a penalty for Chicago to score the first goal. And yeah, you could see in instances during that game that he, it's perfectly fine. Like Escobar and Dorsey, there were several openings against them, and thankfully some of those opportunities were really cleared away immediately, but those proved to be very deadly, and the game could have easily gone away of Houston's control if it was I'll say probably in the later half of the first half and the second half, but yeah.
So man, guys, all right, so let's start to come down to the end. If y'all have any questions for us real quick, please go ahead and throw them out real quick. Otherwise, I kind of would like to hear y'all's confident predictions for this game and what we're expecting. I'll throw mine out real quick just to get it out there. I'm confident in a 2-1 win, but it's more like 60-40, not very, very confident. So, but yeah, please, Dan, Matt, whichever one of you want to go first, man. And then Andreas, if you'll follow up from them.
I think I always have rose-colored glasses on, because I feel like it's bad luck.
Bring it.
It's bad luck, right, to not back your team going into the game when there's those Twitter polls what's going to happen at the game. I have a really hard time hitting the loss button. I have a really
it's always good to counter jinx.
$14 million, and you must make a bet in Vegas right now.
Well, Dan, just refer to that. Refer to the 4-digit XG stats. We can really figure it out.
Shit.
I think if I'm putting money down, I think I'd go 1-0 Minnesota win, just because it seems like Houston isn't scoring a lot of goals right now, and Houston's not giving up a lot of goals right now. It's probably going to be a stalemate for a while, and then probably this game feels to me like it's only going to have one, maybe two big punches in it. It's not going to be 3-2. It's not going to be 2-2.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd set the over-under at goals at 1.5.
Okay.
For this thing.
I'm being more optimistic. I'm thinking 2-1. I think that Coach Ramsey's got a lot to prove, and I think that the team's going to that team morale is. There's going to be something that shows up that I talked about, the X factor, and I think it's going to be 2-1.
We have to get the one, right, Fox? We have to get the one.
Yep. No, yeah, and I was thinking just 1-1, just for all these scenarios. Particularly, both teams try to find control of the ball and just keep up the tempo. And And yeah, for us, I still feel like our scoring issues are still going to be a thing there, and
Yeah.
I feel like for Minnesota, if they haven't figured something out, I feel like defense can come in here, especially assuming that Mikhail comes back from he didn't play against Chicago. He was listed as questionable before then, and I feel like he can make an appearance, but it still depends on a lot of variables.
All right, guys.
All right.
Well, hey, man, we're here. We're to the end. I think we've learned a lot. Unless y'all have any other follow up questions you want to learn, I think
don't know, man.
Go,
you guys
go
have
with
like
it,
a you guys have like a real media empire over there. I mean, we're just getting started. We don't even know the right questions to ask. I mean, 7 questions in, and we got a Facebook page now. Do we even need a Facebook page?
What's Facebook? We're still on MySpace. Nah, bro. Please. We appreciate y'all coming in, and I was very intrigued when I was searching because we had someone 2 years ago, and that pod doesn't exist no more. So I reverted back to them to bring them back again, and I was like, hold on, no, they hadn't even put nothing out. So I started looking, and I found y'all. It was like the other ones had like 130, 189. I was like, nah. They're gonna wear a suit and tie onto the show and shit. So we appreciate y'all, what y'all are doing. You're out there grinding. You're out there having fun. As you say in your intro to your own episode, to your own podcast, you're fan made for the fans. Is basically how I interpret it. You could do your own intro verbatim, but as I heard, it was for the fans, by the fans, for the fans, from the fans. Let's go Chicago. So that's how I heard it. But man, so we appreciate y'all, what y'all are doing, and y'all fit the script for who we were looking for, just to talk to and just to learn about our opponent. And then for y'all, whoever's listening on the Minnesota side of things, if they don't follow y'all, I really hope they start following y'all and start listening to your pod. I did listen to your last episode, and I did enjoy that episode, and I will listen to the follow-up episode after this game, and hopefully more into the future, especially since you're on our side of the world in the Western Conference, and you're definitely an opponent, and Dylan Wolpers' birthday and all that good stuff. So I do like to listen and just hear y'all's perspective of it, so I appreciate y'all and all that. But man, as we close
Thanks
out,
for having us.
Yeah, dude, do y'all have any shout outs? Anybody y'all want to throw out there, appreciate on y'all side of the world, up in Minnesota on the north side, where it's probably still the temperature's a little cold before it gets hot up there?
You know, you're gonna get a 70-degree, 65-degree game here on Saturday. This is
nice.
This is gonna be perfect soccer weather. You
no
guys
mosquitoes yet, no humidity.
hop on a plane. Is what we're saying. Shout outs. I mean, I don't know. I
got one for shout out to our buddy Ray, first like on our Facebook page.
Shout out to our producer Jim.
Producer Jim holding us down and keeping us honest, keeping us on task.
What about your boy Dan? What about your boy? He always has a question for you after every episode, man. You know, shout out to him, even on your opposing pod.
We got so many bits. I'm starting to lose track of them at this point.
Okay, all right. I don't remember his name, Ryan or something like that. Yes, yeah, but all right.
I like to go take random Reddit comments and pretend they're fan mail, and we got
fun for us.
We got a Minnesota.
Delete.
we got a Minnesota fan over here called Old Leather, and he was, I think, on our first episode ever, and he's actually coming back. He's coming back this next episode as a fake fan mail.
All right, well, teaser out there,
you make it, guys.
Thanks for having us. I hope folks listen to the Loony Bin podcast, and we're happy to have connected, and knowing that this is a way to connect with other fans is awesome. We'll be following you guys too, and good luck to Houston every time they don't play Minnesota.
Yeah.
Real quick, tell us, Loony Bin podcast. What is the Loony Bin contest? Where can they follow for the people that are just now listening and following? And then Foxtrot, bro, if you want to follow up with some final closing comments, please. But Dan, Matt, please tell us, what is the Loony Bin Contest and Podcast? And thank y'all for making it. And we appreciate y'all. And I'm sure your Minnesota fans will enjoy it as well. Those that are growing.
Yeah. Loony Bin Podcast is a podcast focusing on Minnesota United, but trying to expand the fan base by just making it accessible and having fun while we're doing it, and trying to be sort of funny along the way. Mostly it's an outlet for my desire to learn way too much about the team I love and put it into something, and a way to make friends, have a friend to go along the way, and Matt here.
Yeah, and I think our thank you, Dan. Our interesting angle is Dan is obviously a lifelong super fan of soccer as a sport in general, let alone the Loons, and I'm literally less than a year into soccer fandom, Minnesota fandom. Like, did not grow up with soccer, did not play it, didn't know anything about it, still don't know anything about it, and you guys are learning with me along the way, or actually seeing how naive I actually am on soccer. It's not a bit.
No clue, bro. No clue. No clue. Andreas, final thoughts, brother.
No, honestly, I feel like that's how it starts. Like, even though like it's still a fairly young podcast, and you guys are starting to get to know each other. That's pretty much how, like, that's kind of like how, like, OSG and I started working together recently. Like, we've known each other for a while, but us as a team, like, we've been doing it for about a year or two now, and really, like, it always starts somewhere, but it's always great to do it with something that you really like talking about, especially if it's like as passionate as soccer. And I've been passionate about Dynamo for like over 10 years now, and we've started the podcast very recently, and we're like pretty much at the 88th episode now. So it's great, but obviously, like, if you do something that you like, it's barely even work if you call it like that. But yeah, it's great.
The perfect distraction from an otherwise crazy world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Amen to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's the final right there. That is the good segue to end the show and say thank you, H-Town. Thank you to Minnesota who listened to this show. And please go follow the Loony Bin Podcast. And guys, you'll know where to find the tags, because we will tag them when we put out this episode. So you got no reason why you can't find them. They're easy to find. You will be able to find them. So please follow the Loony Bin Podcast. Tell them what's up. Give them a comment. Give them a shout out. And like I like to tell our opponents, when the whistle blows, I don't like you no more. When the whistle blows 90 minutes or later, we're friends again. And what we like to say at Instant Ramen, Foxtrot, where H is up. And we will see you next time.
Is up. Except for Saturday.